Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Merry Christmas, friends. It is time to make our conference picks for Week 16 in the NFL. I can't believe that we made it to the finish line. But before we get to all that, let's take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me all over the universe. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the network at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you could get ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Check it out at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves, and keep up to date with everything we're doing on the podcast network, from the true crime show, the pop culture show, the interviews, and everything in between by following us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Alrighty, friends, let's get into our Week 16 confidence picks. It is Christmas weekend, which means we have a lot of time to watch NFL football and spend time with our loved ones, hopefully safe and sound, and hopefully I'm able to give you guys a little bit of advice, or at the very least, a little bit of entertainment as I get these wrong. We'll start off with the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. I am putting 16 confidence points on the Ravens beating the Giants. I have the Kansas City Chiefs over the Atlanta Falcons. I am putting 15 confidence points in that matchup. So back-to-back, we have two interesting AFC heavyweights who have a chance to beat up on some of the lower tier teams in the NFL, can really solidify themselves, help them out in the playoffs, get right, and Baltimore needs the win the way everything is working out. So these are going to be interesting, these two games that we start off with. I am putting 14 confidence points on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Detroit Lions. Again, we're talking about one team that's going to the playoffs, one team that is completely in rebuild, like always. I want to see how right Tampa can get. I want their offense to see if they're going to be able to get right, if Mike Evans is healthy, Antonio Brown. Interesting to see with the COVID situation with their running backs. They brought in Leonard Fournette for this reason. So I'm putting 14 confidence points on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am putting 13 confidence points on the New Orleans Saints over the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting thing about this game, there will be no Michael Thomas. This is the Christmas official game on Friday night to start off Week 16. Again, if you're New Orleans, I need to see something. You know, we need to find out who this team is. Does Drew Brees still have the goods? Can Kamara really help elevate this team without Michael Thomas? You don't have Hill as the quarterback anymore, so theoretically, with Drew Brees there, they should be able to get the ball around a little bit more. Jared Cook, Sanders, without Thomas especially, see if he'll come back for the playoffs. I still think they're better than Minnesota. You know, the Vikings are one of these weird teams that, like, who are they? They're a mess on defense. Is their quarterback any good? They have a great running back. They have really good receivers. They should be better than what their record is, but they're not, and they get in their own way. So I think New Orleans wins this matchup. I'm putting 13 confidence points in it. I have the Arizona Cardinals beating the San Francisco 49ers. I am putting 12 confidence points in that one. Now, here locally in Chicago, if you're a Bears fan, you need the Cardinals to lose this game. And San Francisco, who knows who they're going to have at quarterback. They're getting back George Kittle, but this is a team that is just really well coached. And I'm not all that confident in Arizona that much with the 12 confidence points. That might change. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk for any updates. I do think they're going to win this game outright, so it might just change on how many points I'm willing to risk on them. But San Francisco in a divisional matchup, essentially in a home game for them because they've been playing in Arizona. All the pressure on the Cardinals. Can Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins get this team to the playoffs? Can they hold off the Chicago Bears? There's a lot riding on that game. So I'm interested to see how Arizona responds to that one. We have the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets. Now the one win New York Jets. I'm putting 11 confidence points on the Cleveland Browns. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think they're going to blow out the New York Jets. I think the New York Jets got their win of the season. I mean, if you're looking at the Cleveland Browns, where they're at in the standings, and kind of their roster, I do like them. I do think Baker's an okay quarterback. I like Kareem Hunt. Not necessarily the dude, but I like Kareem Hunt, the player. Obviously, Nick Chubb's a stud. Jarvis Landry. And then they have a bunch of tight ends. It's a team that has the weapons. And obviously, Myles Garrett. So there's pieces on defense. And if they can just hang on to that maybe that division lead, depending on how we're looking into next week. And if Pittsburgh keeps struggling, Cleveland could be a pretty tough out. It'll be interesting to see. Again, it's the word of the day, interesting, but like where we're at in these matchups, where we're heading into the week 17 next week, where we're at in Christmas weekend. Cleveland's a team who I haven't believed, and I keep telling them, show me, show me, show me. Don't stumble now. Don't be like the LA Rams. So I'm going with the Browns in that one, and I'm putting 11 confidence points on them. It is the Bears. It is the Jaguars. I am putting 10 confidence points on the Chicago Bears. Got to be honest, right? I mean, we've been talking about it, but Mitch has been playing well. He made some dumb mistakes at the end of the game, that big interception, but they won. They put up 30 points. The defense made plays when they had to. This is going to be, simply put, this game is as easy as this. If David Montgomery goes as hard as he did against the Jaguars like he did against the Vikings, if the play calling is smart like that, if Mitch doesn't turn over the ball, the Bears are going to handle the Jaguars. Now, if Mitch is giving the ball to the other side, and if you're letting Gardner Minshew and some of these guys, some of these playmakers, like Robinson, I don't know if he's actually going to play now, but if you're letting these guys go out there, it's going to be a tough matchup. This is the same team that beat the Tennessee Titans. Again, it was week 1. Now, you have to think, are the Jaguars, after what the Jets did, going to do what I like to use my new term, the quote-unquote stealth tank? Now, if they're able to get Trevor Lawrence, you assume that they're A-okay with dropping a game here or there. And they're not necessarily ecstatic to try to get an upset win against the Bears in Jacksonville. Now, in the NFL, it's a little bit tougher to plan something like that. But I like that the Bears all the stars are aligning in their favor. It just depends on if they execute the game plan. And if they don't make dumb mistakes. Because that's cost them games already this season. And that Detroit loss is going to haunt them if they don't make the playoffs. But I think the Bears win this game. I think they go out to be 8-8 after Christmas weekend. And I'm putting 10 confidence points on them beating the Jaguars. I have 9 confidence points on the Bills over New England. Don't get it twisted. The Bills are way better than the Bears. New England's a tough matchup in New England, depending on the weather. Bill Belichick, I hate going against Bill Belichick, even without Tom Brady. Buffalo is due for a mishap. They're always playing on the razor's edge, right? So I like Buffalo. There's a lot to like about Diggs and Allen, and that defense is okay. But at the end of it, it's a divisional matchup on prime time, and you won your division already. So what are you playing for, a home field? How much does that mean right now in 2021? 2020 going into 2021, I should say. It's a fascinating way for the Buffalo Bills to be in this matchup with New England. Who would have thunk it, huh? A few years back, but that's the NFL. But I'm putting 9 confidence points on the Bills beating the Patriots. I am putting 8 confidence points on the Houston Texans beating the Cincinnati Bengals after a huge win for the Bengals. The Texans, I think, are just a better team. Again, a lot of these teams are going to win their 1, their 2, their upsets. We're a little deeper into the season. It's not a trap game. Deshaun Watson's going to ball out. They're not playing for anything. Both of these teams aren't. So I am going to go with the Houston Texans, putting 8 confidence points on that one. Carolina versus Washington. I'm putting 7 confidence points on Washington. Look, they may not have an offense. They may have offensive weapons, even without Antonio Gibson. But at the end of it, that defense is legit. And they have a defensive-headed coach. So I like what Washington's doing. And in that horrible division, it's going to be hard for them to, as long as they play just good enough and they let Philly and the Cowboys eliminate one another, I'm going to go with Washington in this matchup, and I'm putting 7 confidence points on them. And especially without Christian McCaffrey, who's not going to play, you got to go with the football team. I am putting 6 confidence points on the Packers beating the Tennessee Titans. This right here is a fun matchup for all football fans. So many things can be determined in this matchup. Tennessee, positional-wise, divisional-wise. Green Bay, divisional-wise, position-wise in the playoffs. This impacts the Chicago Bears. This impacts the Arizona Cardinals. If Derrick Henry goes and balls out like he has, the Tennessee Titans win this game. If Green Bay is able to control the ball and Aaron Rodgers is able to put a couple points on the board, Green Bay wins this one handily. It's a fun matchup both ways. It's important for both teams. It establishes both teams. It's a big resume builder for both teams. So many consequences, so many stars, and so many fantasy football championships can be won in this matchup. But I am putting 6 confidence points on the Green Bay Packers. In the Broncos versus Chargers matchup, I am putting 5 confidence points on Justin Herbert and his Chargers to beat Denver. Again, these are two teams that aren't necessarily playing for anything. A lot of fun stars in this game. A future potentially MVP in Justin Herbert on the Chargers. A very sexy job that's going to be open, I believe, in the LA Chargers. A lot of potential for points, while saying that this is a divisional matchup. So again, this one is more going to be impactful for, of course, draft standing, but for fantasy football. So Austin Eckler, and you have Jerry Jeudy, you have Justin Herbert. Some people, I don't think you're playing Drew Lock if you're in the fantasy championships, but it's a fun game, divisional game. I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. Again, I'm not super confident in them because they know each other so well, but I'll put 5 points on the young Chargers. I am putting 4 confidence points on the Seattle Seahawks beating the LA Rams. Now, I think Seattle has a legitimate shot of winning the Super Bowl. Not just getting there, but meeting and beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are a good, solid team. They're a 10-11 win team. They're a team that is a tough out. They're respectable, but they're a team that loses to the Jets. And looking in the NFL, everybody loses to everybody. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just part of, it's like in the UFC and MMA, where unlike boxing, where you can pad up the stats, like sometimes you're just gonna get knocked in the face and get knocked out. It is what it is. I think Seattle has more offensive power, has more of an explosion to beat any team in the NFL opposed to the Rams, who in a close competitive game can beat you. But if it starts getting to a track meet, I think the Seahawks are way better off than the Rams. And I think the Rams are more bottom tier of the good teams in that sense. So I'm putting 4 confidence points in Seattle, and Seattle solidifying themselves as the champ in that division. I'm putting 3 confidence points on, I guess, Philadelphia beating Dallas, because somebody needs to win that division. I mean, I think Dallas, without Dak, but with Andy Dalton, is better than their record, but not a good team. I think that whole division just sucks, though, right? There's a lot of good in that division, though. There's a lot of fun pieces. I guess that's the whole NFL. But did the Eagles find their own quarterback in Jalen Hurts? I don't know. Maybe. But at the very least, they found a weapon against a bad Cowboys defense. And if you make this, like we were talking about that last game, like track meet, both teams can put up points. This, to me, has the potential to be one of the more fun games of Christmas weekend because it's 2 bad teams that could put up points. I'm going to go with Philadelphia on this one for only this reason: momentum. Dallas, I think, is probably more on paper the better team. But if you don't have Zeke, I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this one. So I'm putting 3 confidence points in that matchup. I'm putting 2 confidence points on the Vegas Raiders beating the Miami Dolphins. I mean, Miami's been balling out, and they're right there in the playoff race. I think, again, this is the NFL. The Miami Dolphins are due for a loss like this. The Vegas Raiders are due for a win. And I think Darren Waller balls out. We'll see if Jacobs plays. We'll see what happens with Derek Carr. If not, Marcus Mariota, I think, can handle. And there's going to be turnovers, and it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a fun game, but I'm going with the Raiders in that matchup. And finally, in the heavyweight of heavyweight matchups, the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger. Can either man throw the ball? Can either man last this entire season? Is this the last hurrah for both these guys? So many weapons, both sides of the ball on both teams. This is so much fun, but all we're going to talk about is the quarterback. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I'm putting 1 point on them. I think they get right. I think they fool people. They make people believe that they can get into the playoffs and make a run. I think the Colts are due for a reality check. They're due for one of those stumbles. And if you're not careful, though, and if the Colts win this one, and you have to keep going to Indianapolis, play that defense, play Jonathan Taylor, Colts can make some noise. But I'm going with Pittsburgh in that matchup. But why don't we run these bad boys down as we get ready to kick off Week 16 in the NFL. I'm putting 16 confidence points on the Baltimore Ravens over the New York Giants, 15 confidence points on the Chiefs over the Falcons, 14 confidence points on Tampa Bay over Detroit, 13 confidence points on the Saints beating the Vikings, 12 confidence points on the Cardinals beating San Francisco, 11 confidence points on the Browns beating the Jets, 10 confidence points on the Bears over the Jaguars, 9 confidence points on the Bills beating division rival, the New England Patriots, 8 confidence points on Houston over Cincinnati, 7 confidence points on Washington over Carolina, 6 confidence points on the Packers beating the Titans in an awesome matchup, 5 confidence points on the Chargers beating the Broncos in a shootout, 4 confidence picks in Seattle beating the LA Rams, 3 confidence points on what might be the most sloppy game, but an entertaining one in the Eagles beating the Cowboys, 2 confidence points on the Raiders beating the Dolphins, and finally 1 confidence points on the Steelers beating the Colts. Let me know, who do you have favored? Who do you have in the fantasy championships? Who are you betting on? How are you enjoying your Christmas/holiday weekend? I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media. The show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. That'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget, you can follow us all over the universe. You can follow me all over the universe. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and the show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the network at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you can get ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Check it out at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves, and keep up to date with everything we're doing on the podcast network, from the true crime show, the pop culture show, the interviews, and everything in between by following us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Please be safe. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.